Good morning. How's everybody this morning? All good. It was a tough ride on the way here, but I'm excited to be here. It was a 12-hour bus ride, but it's not about me. I'm going to be talking about how to accelerate your product adoption using content. Just a little bit about me on the next slide. Dave already introduced me. I'm the content director here at AppQs. We provide onboarding and product experience easily without any code. I'm also a mentor at First Round VC as content and marketing. Founder of Marketing Power Ups. I've worked with Microsoft in the past, Mixpanel, product led with Westbush, also author of product led onboarding. But I don't want to start here. I actually want to start 30 years ago when I was a kid. When I was young, I was like super obsessed with Super Mario Kart. Thank you. As the oldest, I'm the oldest of three siblings, and I have a younger brother named Mark. And whenever we play, we would play until midnight, maybe even past 1 a.m. to the point where my parents would like get so upset at us. But at the same time, I'm so upset at my brother Mark because he always beats me. I don't understand. Like Super Mario is supposed to beat every other player in this game, and he still beats me. If you go to the next slide, you can see this is my face. Because this breaks every rule in the universe where the oldest have to beat the youngest sibling all the time. How many of you agree with that? Okay, now you know who the oldest are in the room, right? If your younger sibling beats you, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the universe. You gotta fix that. So that's exactly what I did. I asked Mark, how do you keep beating me? And he told me, Ramli, this is how. In a course in Super Mario Kart, there are things that help accelerate your car, momentum boosters. Things like if you press the right button at the right, how many of you know when you press the right button at the right time at the start of the race, you get a head start, right? There's also like boosters and zippers and turbo start. Those are things that help you win the race. But at the same time, there are things that help reduce your momentum. These are things like banana peels and oil spills and potholes. And how does this relate to product-led growth and product adoption? You're probably wondering. Well, if you look at the next slide, your users, your best users go through a flywheel. They go through a course. This is the product-led growth flywheel, where as the best users, that what they do, they evaluate your product. They don't just evaluate, they activate, they try it for the first time, they experience the value of your product. Then once they experience it, they adopt it. It becomes a habit for them. But the best users don't stop there. They share the word, they leave reviews, and they go through this flywheel stage. And this is what the best user happen. And this is absolutely mission critical for us. If you're in product-led, if you're product-led SaaS, going through this cycle really well is absolutely mission critical. Because when people think about this, they think, that's onboarding. But this cycle goes through multiple times as they adopt new features. The more your users go through this cycle, it actually introduces, first of all, stickiness. Because the more features they adopt, the more usage they use your product, the more likely they'll stick around, which is a retention. At the same time, as they increase their usage, they're more likely to increase their payment. They go in a higher plan, and their average revenue per user actually increases. This is absolutely mission critical for product-led SaaS. The problem we have, according to some data from Mixpanel, a lot of SaaS companies, a lot of companies in general, they struggle with even getting users to come back after the first day. They found that within the first day, a lot of product-led SaaS companies, they lose 75 to 80% of their users. And this is a big time challenge that we have here. The game that we have here to win at product-led, and the reason why we're here, this whole product-led go-to-market movement, is how do we introduce more momentum boosters? But at the same time, how do we remove those momentum blockers the same way that we see in Mario Kart? And often we talk a lot about the product, we talk about sales, but coming from content, I feel like it's often forgotten, if you go to the next slide, that content is this space where, sure, we got like product adoption, you got the sales team, you got the marketing, you got the product team. They're talking about product adoption, and often content is something that's often forgotten, and it's not like even in the same table here. And really, like what I want to share with you today is 3 ways that we can use content to accelerate that momentum for your users. And I'm going to be using this framework that I love. It is the second most important framework that has impacted my career next to the Jobs to be Done framework. It is the BJ Fogg model, created by a guy named, guess what, BJ Fogg, Dr. BJ Fogg from Stanford. He's actually a behavior psychologist. He studied how to introduce good habits into people, and he created this model. If you want to change a person's behavior, what you need to introduce is increase the motivation, increase their ability, and introduce the right kind of prompts. And I'm going to be talking about this in a sense of how content can be applied here. So the very first one, if you go to the next slide, is about motivation. This is about introducing the right kind of things to hype your users up even before as they're signing up for the product. And the way I think about this is there's like push and pull forces that happens with your users. Going back to the Super Mario Kart analogy, one of the forces that is helping for you to introduce that motivation is to push them away from their current situation. How can you introduce that? I'll share some examples. At the same way, how can you pull them towards this better world that you have with your product? And let me give you some examples here. One of the first one is with Wave Financial. Now, Wave Financial is this easy way to create invoices with entrepreneurs, where a lot of entrepreneurs they work with, they use Excel and like Word document to create their invoices, and they're introducing this better way. And one of the places that it's often forgotten as a content piece is as users signing up. What Wave does is they emphasize the value of the product. It says here, you might not see it all the way in the back, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, designed to get you paid 3 times faster. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, getting paid money is the blood of your business. And they're really emphasizing the value that they have here with just that one word right in the sign-up page in the second point. The point here is that are there ways you can introduce that push-pull forces, right, as people are signing up? A second example I like to give up is with Meet Edgar. Now, Meet Edgar is an easy way to schedule your social media platform. Now, this is a really cool example where a couple of marketers, G. Lottie and Claire Solentrop, they're from Forget the Funnel. What they did was they were able to increase the free-to-paid conversion of this company by 40%. And they didn't even touch the product or the onboarding at all. Like zero improvements in the onboarding, 0 improvements in the product. And they only changed 2 pages on their website. They changed the homepage copy, and they changed the pricing page copy. And they really emphasized the point, hey, you can schedule, Meet Edgar can take all of your blog posts, all of your content, and it will schedule it for you automatically. And just by emphasizing that in their homepage and pricing, they were able to increase their free-to-paid by 40%. This example might be a little extreme, but the point here is that often positioning and messaging is such a critical part in terms of like accelerating users through that journey that we often need to work and figure that out particularly. That's the first one, motivation. I want to talk about the second one, which is ability. Now, ability is about decreasing and making it easier for users to accomplish their goal. Now, when we talk about ability, we often think about it as remove. How many of you heard that advice? Remove friction from your onboarding. Remove it. Yeah, best advice. Well, I'm going to tell you here that type of friction that's often said here is only 1 out of 3 types of friction that your users go through. There's this concept that the former head of product at LinkedIn said that there's actually hierarchies of user friction. The very lowest is product friction, and that's what we often talk about, product friction. These are things in your UI or UX that's slowing your users down, remove the number of steps. But humans are humans. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have cognitive function. And Sachin talked about this cognitive function where there's also that friction of users not understanding. They have that limiting belief about what they can do. And often that is not something that we as go-to-market professionals think about. And at the very highest is emotional friction. Those are friction that talks about fear and frustration and things that we don't think about. And often those higher to the cognitive and emotional friction is not something that we can solve through product. It is often something we can solve through human touch, but as well as content. But let me give you some example here. The first example I want to give with you is with Thinkific. Now, Thinkific is an easy way to create courses online, but they found that their students, their new users has this cognitive friction, which is they don't know the best course that they can sell online that will make them the most amount of money. And they often get hung up on that brainstorming phase. What should my course be about? What should it be? So what they smartly did in their checklist is that if you don't know what your course should be about, here's a worksheet that we can give you. And if you go to the next slide, you actually go through this worksheet. The worksheet is PDF. And when they meet with their customer success team, what do? Have you filled out your course creation worksheet? And they're really tackling that cognitive friction with content because that the challenge is not product. The challenge is in that knowledge of that user that they can't really figure that out. Another example is more education focused, but I really love it as well. It's with Maven. Maven is an easy way to create core-based courses. And one of the challenge, if you've ever done like live online course, is it's really tough. It's like, if you mess up, you don't know how it's going to go through. And what they did is they created a cohort-based course about cohort-based courses. So they would invite new users. Hey, here's how to manage and run a cohort-based course. They teach you frameworks. They teach you, all for free. They teach you how to run it. They give you tips on how to do it. You practice in that cohort-based course on how to run cohort-based courses. And this is tackling both the cognitive and emotional friction that we often don't think about when we think about getting our users more adopting our product. Those are just two examples of that. The very last thing I want to share with you about this morning is around this prompts. Now, prompts, when I think about prompts, I'm thinking about like email, sending it at the right time at the right message. But I think about that more along, if you go to the next slide, along the user journey. Now, I've been asked this a few times where like, Ramli, when is the best time to send like a sales email to a user? Because often, how many of you have signed up for a product and like within 2 seconds, you got a salesperson like, hey, you want to jump on a demo? And if you give your number, what do? They start calling you. Like, I just signed up. I don't even know if this is right for me. And my response to this is like there's the best times to reach out or to send a message to user is when they're really happy or they're really upset. Because when you get them at that time, they might be upset about a challenge or something that you can be the solution to that. Or if they're really happy, you can congratulate them with that. And I like to focus more on the happy part. And I like to give you some examples because I'm not going to lie here. I actually signed up for like 200 products, over 200 products, just to like get a list of onboarding emails to be in my swipe file. And only a handful of products do this. What apps like Cloud App do is once you've achieved something in the product, they send you an email. And they say, congrats, Ramli. And Cloud App is an easy way to create screenshots. So congrats, Ramli. You've taken your first screenshot. But it doesn't stop there. It says, Congrats, Ramli, you've taken your first screenshot. Now share it with your team. They're pushing me to go towards the next stage in that flywheel, knowing that virality effect is an important part of their user journey, their go-to-market cycle, and they're doing this particularly. I didn't get this one, but they also sent an email. It's like, hey, there was actually an email from the sales, somebody from sales. Hey, Ramli, congrats. I'd love to show you more of the product. And I opened that email because, like, how many of you, if somebody says, congrats, it's your birthday, or congrats, you did something great, how many of you are more likely to open that email than it's like, hello, would you want to jump on a demo today? And that's in the subject line. Like, we actually talked to a few folks, and they found like the open rate to a congrats email is like between 40 to 60%, which is almost as high as a welcome email, which is super interesting. Another really great example of this like congrats email is with Canva, where Canva takes it to the next level, where they don't just say congrats. They say congrats, here's a badge to share on social. And they actually give you a badge when you share 5 things, 10 things, when you create 5 items or 10 items or 50 items. And for people who are not familiar with Canva, Canva is an easy way to create any kind of designs without any design skills, whether that's business cards or anything else like that. So I think this is something that I've been thinking a lot about. This is a missed opportunity, and I don't see enough products like tapping into this joy moment that that an email or like an outreach can really be important. So just to wrap it up, the 3 things, the content boosters, the momentum boosters that I talked about today. First of all, it's around motivation. How do you use that push and pull power to really amplify that need or the desire? Second, it's around ability, which is thinking about how to not just remove product friction, but how do you remove cognitive or emotional friction that your users might be going through as they go through this flywheel. And the very last thing that I talked about is around prompts, where how do you tap into those joyful moments as well as those frustration moments to reach out to your users. That's all I have for you today. And just final slide, if you want to reach out, my email's here. I also have my LinkedIn. If you want to add me, make sure to mention product-led PLGTM. And that's all I have for you today.